What is going on, guys? Jack here, and welcome to ForTheFans for the 24th of August 2015. In today's show, we take a look at the weekend's Premier League football in action. We have another one of Ben's fantastic quizzes, and we also launch the ForTheFans Charlie Austin appeal. Let's get right into this.
Right then, folks, welcome back then. It's, what is this, episode 3 of the season? It's For The Fans, and once again, I'm not alone. Jack and Keno are with me, boys, how are we? Just at the same time.
Not too bad.
Hello, Ben. I'll try and not let a relative of mine come in.
Well, the question is, Keno, on everybody's lips, it's been a week. Have the keys been found? Have they?
Yes, they have been, yeah. They were found quite swiftly after the show.
Well, so we should point out for the iTunes listeners who may have not downloaded the podcast immediately.
Yeah.
We had a minor hiccup with the initial audio where one Callum Keane was interrupted during his recording and didn't let me know during the editing. So I don't know if you want to issue a formal apology of any kind, Keno, to the listeners who had to insert the keys.
Yeah, the thing is, it's only a small minority of very eager listeners who will have heard that.
And everyone on YouTube.
Oh, you kept that one up?
Yes.
Oh my. Okay, I do formally apologise to a small section of the For The Fans iTunes audience and all of our YouTube watchers.
Can you apologise to me and Jack for having to listen to your mum ask about keys 4 minutes 20 seconds into the podcast?
I will not apologise.
Okay then. Anyway, boys,
that's an in-joke.
It is an in-joke. We'll get to the podcast and the football chat very soon, but it's that time again, folks. It's Ben's feature of the week, which still hasn't got a jingle. Now,
is that going to happen?
Well, probably not at this point. So you, once again, boys, this week, you do not know what the feature is.
Not a clue. Nope.
Absolutely no idea.
Good. Now, I recently, I've had the week at Centre Parks this week, and on the Tuesday, we took part in the family quiz. So I thought it would be appropriate if we did our own quiz with 5 different categories. Now, who loves a quiz?
Me.
I love a quiz.
Excellent. Now, there's 5 different categories. I've got a question for each of you, and we'll keep a running total. If you could keep your own scores, boys, that would be very much appreciated.
Right, I got 5.
Right, so you've both got 5 questions each. Who would like to go first? Would anyone like to go first?
I'll let the dishonourable Keno go first after last week's shambles.
Now, the rules of the quiz, you can't use a phone, you can't use technology, so I'd like you to both put your hands on your heads for the duration of the quiz. Now, I can't check this, but in good faith, I'm hoping that you'll stick to the rules.
Yeah.
I'm actually sat with my hands on my head.
My hands are on my head.
Excellent. Now, if you can picture that at home, listeners, then that's perfect. Okay, so Keno, first question for you, and the category is sport. So, which team is currently top of the championship? Bear in mind, we do a football podcast. You've got 10 seconds. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I need your answer.
Is it Middlesbrough?
The correct answer is Ipswich. So that's no points for you. Football podcast, everyone. I'm ruining our reputation here very quickly.
Yeah, that's not a good idea, Ben.
Keno's kind of avoided Championship football, though, because he knows it's coming for Villa.
I've been trying to block it out for a few seasons.
Pretend it doesn't exist.
Jack, same category for you. Sport is the category. Are you ready?
If it's going to be the same question about League One, no, I'm not.
Championship. Which team is currently bottom of the championship?
Oh, that's even worse.
Dear.
They have 1 point. 5, 4, 3.
I literally don't
2,
have a clue, and I'm sorry
1.
to Championship fans. I'll go with Rotherham.
Correct.
Oh my gosh. What a guess!
I can't believe that.
What a guess!
It's Rotherham. So 1-0 to Jack. Right, the next category.
Can I just say I picked that because I don't like Steve Evans.
Nobody does. We I should say now the quiz topics are the same topics I had at Centre Parks. So the next category is TV and film. Woo! Right, Keno, first to you. Which footballer stars in Lock, Stock and Two Smoking Barrels? 5, 5, 4, 3, 2,
Oh,
1.
I know this. Is it Vinnie Jones?
Correct. Vinnie Jones is the correct
I
answer.
was hoping
Point.
he was going to get it wrong, and then I was going to try and implement some kind of steal
no.
rule where I could go in and get the point myself.
Point on the board. Anyway, Jack, for you, TV and film is the category. Earlier this year, Holmes Under the Hammer announced they were getting a new presenter.
Dion
Who is
Dublin.
he? Correct answer.
That was
Dion Dublin, correct. Well done. To be fair, asking Jack a question about daytime TV, you should get that, to be honest. Right. The next.
This is like a penalty shootout.
The next category is family fun. Ooh, family fun. Bit harder to do when in a football podcast, but I've done my best. Keno, for you, West Bromwich Albion defender Jolien Lescott has a brother. What's his name?
What?
Jolien Lescott, who plays for West Brom, has a brother. What's his name? Remember, the category is family fun. So, what have you got for him?
He is also a professional footballer, isn't he?
Yeah, that's what I mean. I'm not just asking you about. Sorry, I'm not just asking you about.
I mean, no. Well, it could be.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let's have a guess.
No, I don't know.
Have a guess. Have a stab.
Daniel.
It's Aaron. It's Aaron Lescott. I don't know if he still plays for Bristol Rovers, but at the time I've researched this, he was. Jack, over to you. England's brave, John Terry, has a brother. What's his name? 5, 4, 3,
Not a clue.
2. Have a guess. 1.
I'll go with
Think of
Terry.
The correct answer is Paul Terry, formerly of the Oval.
Close.
Potentially at Rushden Diamonds. Hard to tell because this quiz is a bit old. The next section, by the way, I hope you're enjoying Ben's feature of the week this week. We're plowing through it.
I feel like there was research put into this week. It's not that there isn't normally, but I feel like step up this week.
extra effort has been put.
Callum Keane, are you ready? General knowledge is the category. Callum, One Direction announced this week that they're having a hiatus. What are the full names of the band members? Away you go.
With middle names? Or?
No.
I
do want first and last name.
Liam Payne.
Correct.
Harry Styles.
Correct.
Niall Horan.
Yeah.
And who have I missed? Louis Tomlinson. Doncaster.
Are they your final answers?
Yeah.
Correct. Well done.
Hey,
Point.
hey,
Never
point.
forget about Zayn.
Point. Well, no, he's gone. He's gone.
Get a bit emotional, right? Sorry.
Jack, to you, general knowledge. Which website was recently hacked, revealing the data of some terrible scumbags?
Ashley Madison.
Correct. Correct answer. Ashley Madison is correct.
Jack was very quick to answer that.
A little bit of current affairs. Yeah, Jack has been found out by his
Don't tell my wife.
lovely wife. Right. The final category, which was strange for a Centre Parks quiz, was famous landmarks.
Ooh.
Keno, over to you first. Now, 3 football stadiums have hosted the World Cup final twice. Can you name one of them? 5.
The Maracanã.
Correct.
Yes.
You could have also had the Estadio Azteca or the Olympiastadion in Berlin.
I was gonna, yeah. Okay.
Jack, now I'm going to describe a stadium to you, and you're going to tell me who plays there. Okay?
I have to say who play. Okay.
It's a unique stadium that can be used daily and includes a fitness centre, conference room, restaurant, bar, and cafe, along with the stadium tours and museums. It's a must-see. Called the Donbass Arena. Who plays at the Donbass Arena?
Can I curse? Because I don't actually know.
This is a great question, Ben.
Thank you.
I know I should know it.
10, 9, 5.
The thing is, it's one of those
4,
stadiums where you know the name
3.
of it.
I will say, Jack,
2,
your Football Manager
1.
fans on the internet will be tearing their hair out. Well, that's
The Donbass Arena,
Can
Jack.
can we just? It has a conference room.
Jack, you're not going to get it because of the facilities.
Quick, Stormwar.
Quick, who plays there?
I'm gonna just take a guess, and it sounds German, so we'll go with.
Go on.
We'll go with Leverkusen.
The correct answer is Shakhtar Donetsk. Unlucky in the Ukraine.
Yeah.
The Donbass
That's 3
Arena.
all.
But they still play there.
That is 3.
They don't.
So that's a false question in my
Well,
eyes.
Hey,
So
well, in which case, Jack, the answer was nobody, and you got it wrong. So.
They don't. They've been forced out because of the Ukraine conflict.
Does that mean that I get a higher percentage of my questions correct, so I win? Because we both got equal points.
3 all, Jack.
What I'll do, Jack, is throw a quick question. I'll be honest, folks, I've been caught off guard. If you can say the date of my birthday, you will level the points with Keno. Away you go.
The date of your birthday.
Yeah.
I feel like I know this.
Wow, 5,
It's
4,
it's next month.
3, 2.
I feel like you're one of the
1.
oldest in your year, so I'm just going to go with the 1st of September because I have a feeling that you've told me that you're one of the oldest in your years.
I'm saying the 9th, Ben.
Viewers, I'm disgusted that Jack didn't know immediately, but he is correct. It is the
Oh
1st
my
of
God.
September.
Oh,
I remember you tweeting about it as well fairly
so,
recently.
So if you are a For the Fans listener out there and are looking for a birthday gift, then next Tuesday's the day. So yeah, get that to us. Anyway, that's the end of Ben's Feature of the Week, and we don't have a winner. So viewers, I'll let you decide who has won the quiz. I guess you can base it on calibre of questions. Anyway, we've been going for about 10 minutes and we've only just finished the bloody feature.
It's nearer 14 or 15. But that doesn't matter. People come for the features, really, don't they?
Oh, okay. Right then. Let's see. People are going to switch off now. Don't. Stay. Premier League chitter-chatter. So then, folks, this week, as we've seen some good Premier League action, quite a lot of draws this week, and we'll come to those later on. But, boys, shall we start with the whole reason we're going to claim that we're late with the podcast this week? It's just finished. It was Arsenal 0, Liverpool 0. Jack, it was a thriller.
It was as thrilling a 0-0 as you're going to see. Woodwork hit 3 times. When you look at the other results this week, of which, when we come on to them very briefly, there were 5 draws. This was the most entertaining of the draws. And it was a tale of 2 halves. I think we can both all agree, really. You know, Arsenal, first half looked slow. Liverpool really should have taken advantage of the chances they had. Granted, Arsenal did have a somewhat controversial goal ruled out for offside, which it clearly wasn't. And it reminded me a bit of the Rooney one, actually, that I guess we'll talk about later. But in the second half, Liverpool just... They let that kind of half-time, I guess, for Arsenal came at the right time. They really kind of shaked things up, and Arsenal really took the game to Liverpool in the second half. And to be honest, I think, as odd as it sounds, a 0-0 was probably a fair result.
Yeah, I guess as Liverpool fans, we'll speak as objectively as possible. I think Liverpool had the better of the first half. I think Arsenal had a 5-minute spell in the first half where they were really good. But I think Liverpool bossed the first half, and in the second half, I was a bit scared. I was thinking they were probably going to nick it. But they didn't nick it, Keno. And who do you think is going to be happier with the result?
Well, you'd have to say Liverpool.
Well, the thing is, though, would you say Liverpool? Because Liverpool have got off to quite a good start. Arsenal, not so much. It's still considered quite a big game over the course of the season.
I know, but I still think for Liverpool to come away and keep another clean sheet and get a point, which at the beginning of the year they might not have been expecting to, get so comfortably. I think that makes it a good result for them. Although, like you say, the first half they looked really, really good. And I thought Chan in particular helped link the midfield. It was interesting actually to see a totally different midfield as to the last couple of weeks with Henderson and Milner in the middle. I don't know what you think about that, because they played instead with a more conventional holding midfielder in Lucas. And I thought that almost gave the midfield a little bit more balance and made them link up a bit more, I think.
It's the first time Emre Can hasn't had to worry about what's going on behind him as much as he has before. And I think in that first half it gave him a little bit more leeway. I think that's Lucas's last game for Liverpool, actually. I think the way he went off, he looked like a man that had his time. He didn't look that pleased about going off. He's clearly not happy, but he did a job. And I think there's a lot of respect there goes to Lucas for doing quite a good job.
Yeah. He is your longest serving player, isn't he? I think at the moment. Which I was surprised to hear the other day. I think
if he's not, he'll be very, very close with someone like Skirtle. But yeah, you're right. He's been there a long time. I think Liverpool. As I say, I think Liverpool will be delighted with the point. As a fan, I am very pleased with the point. Because I think Arsenal at times looked very, very threatening. Miss a goal scorer though, Jack, and it was evident again today that Giroud, as good as he is, just doesn't quite cut it.
I saw a few fans tweeting about both Benteke and Giroud being quite quiet in this game, despite the amount of chances that seemed to be created from the midfield. You know, they weren't ever really the players on the end of it. I guess Benteke in the first half was, but by the end of the second half, Benteke's kind of existence in the game was, well, non-existent. But going on to Giroud, I see Arsenal fans say he gets a lack of service and stuff, but I think he needs to work more for that service. And I don't feel like he's the kind of player who is capable of perhaps finding that yard of space that when a team like Liverpool, who sit deep, were playing kind of in the second half. I just don't see him getting enough of the ball, and that was evident again today. He didn't really have chances to squander.
Well, yeah, I think with Giroud, he struts around, and I hate it. I really dislike it because I want as a team who have to have quite a workman-like midfield, you want that to start at the front. And with Arsenal, when Arsenal without the ball, Giroud just struts around, I can't stand it, and I think that annoys me just as much as his finishing. Of course, he's not like this athletic striker that's going to chase every ball, but Liverpool's defence looked relatively good today, Skirl and Lovren, because they had no pressure on them. They never had any pressure on them. They had so much time to do what they wanted to do.
He's not a very energetic striker, is he?
No, but
when you're playing alone, I think that's something that you've got to have about you. You've got to work two centre-backs on your own, and I think that was an issue that resulted in Arsenal perhaps not creating as many chances as they might otherwise with a player like Walcott.
I will say, at the you talk about having a striker that really works the centre-halves. What Diego Costa did yesterday, and he hasn't had a great start to the season. I was actually sort of talking him down a bit while we were watching it, but yesterday... And when he's at his best, he works the two centre-halves so hard. They don't get a moment's rest, like you saw with Suarez when he was playing for Liverpool. And I think Giroud sometimes gives the centre-halves too much of an easy ride. And if you look at the best strikers in the league, they don't give any of the centre-halves a moment's rest.
Yeah, and that goes historically as well. I was going to come on to say that the best strikers in the Premier League have been strikers that have worked defenders. A great example is Alan Shearer. That was a major part of his game. He scored I'll say a shitload of goals because he did, but he would work. The defenders knew they were in the game against Shearer, and he's not that dissimilar to a Giroud kind of player, whereas he's not this pacey on the last man defender. What I'm saying is he's there as sort of the front man, the target man, and Giroud doesn't offer the same. And Arsenal are a top team, so Arsenal need a top striker, and a top striker will do that dirty work. Costa is a top striker. Costa in Arsenal's team, you could genuinely see Arsenal winning the league. And
for sure, I agree.
It's almost as if Arsenal need Benzema, but he's not going to move.
Did you see his tweet?
I did see his tweet today. Should we talk about that a little
bit? I've not seen the tweet, so tell me.
It's basically him going, well, I'm not moving, so you can all shut up.
He's just sat in the changing room holding a little Real.
Which as a Real fan, you must be like, oh, good, thanks for coming out. He has waited until like 7 days before the window ends, which makes me think that there was maybe a chance, maybe a bit of talk. Because he's waited a long time to be like, I'm not going anywhere, guys. Don't think I'm disloyal. So
there was another player waiting a while for a move, wasn't there, as well? I'm going to be smug now, listeners, because last week I did say I could see Chelsea going in for Pedro after their result against City, and well, it happened.
As much as it pains me to say it, Jack, you did call that quite well.
And I feel like, rather than like taking a shot in the dark and going, Chelsea are going to sign Pedro, I feel like I kind of explained my point. There's nothing, this is going to sound bizarre, I'm going on a rant here. There's nothing more than when someone goes, I think X will move to Y, without any kind of reasoning behind it. And then it happens and they go, I called it. Whereas I kind of would like to think that last week I kind of gave some reasoning behind the Pedro move.
It was a very Jose and Chelsea.
Chelsea? Is that
Chelsea.
The new?
It was a very Jose and Chelsea thing to do, but I still give you credit for saying it would happen. I think me and Kino nodded along and went, yeah, it probably will happen, but you've been the first person to...
The thing that I find bizarre is the fact that from what Pedro said, I think today... He's basically said Chelsea were the team who wanted to get my transfer done the quickest. That's why I've gone to them, which makes me think that United probably did have some genuine interest, but we're trying to really grind down the price.
And that's a thing that with Ed Woodward at United we've kind of seen over the last three years. Like I remember the year or maybe the 6 months before they signed Ander Herrera in the end. There was that whole story of all those guys turning up in Spain and Herrera not knowing who to talk to, and they have messed about over transfers, particularly since Ferguson left.
It's curious you bring Herrera up because they paid his clause in the end, and they said fine, we'll pay. Did they not?
Yes, and it's almost like they're trying to haggle, but in the wrong context and in the wrong way, and it ends up biting them. When it comes to the transfers, it's a very strange policy.
Can I make a daytime TV reference here? It's like bargain hunt. You've got the blue team and you've got the red team. And the red team have gone in early on in the show, found a nice item, and they're like, yeah, can we have it at this price? And the owner goes, nah, maybe later in the day. So red team goes off, blue team turns up, can we have that? Oh, what's the price? Oh, seems like a fair price. And they go and get it, and red team comes back. And in the end, they have to go with a little crappy item that's a bit like Mane.
Sorry, we do end up selling the item. Do you know how bargain hunt works?
They do, but we don't need that bit.
Okay, well, I think we're kind of moving on to Chelsea, and they beat West Brom 3-2. West Brom looked far better than they have done previously, although in a way they might be disappointed not to get a point from the game, Callum.
I don't think any Premier League team can consistently pick Jonas Olsen at centre half and expect clean sheets.
You could have stopped there, actually. I don't think any Premier League could pick Jonas Hilton at centre half and just left it.
And expect them to, keep a clean sheet.
Have you heard about Lescott today, though? The club have basically come out and said that they're going to let Julian Lescott move if he wants to when they sign another defender. Which
They
to
want
me
to get
just...
Aaron in, that's why. Aaron Lescott, he's ready.
To be fair, it just sounds to me like they're going, right, we're not signing another defender. We'll just tell Jolian that if we sign another one, he can go, but it's not happening. And also, another bizarre West Brom thing was the fact that Berahino, the club came out today and said, yes, he's requested a transfer, but we rejected it.
The Berahino thing just... I don't understand it, because it seems to have been going on for about a year now, and maybe 3 or 4 windows, and months and months and months of kind of backwards and forwards with the club. There's obviously teams, I think Tottenham's the first team that comes to mind, who could do with a player like him, and he obviously, although he's still been turning in good performances, he doesn't look like he wants to be there at all. Yeah,
I think he's waiting for someone to come in. And that's just not happening.
Do you think so, though? Because I think someone like Spurs have probably already been in talks personally with him.
But I think he's making the point to the fans and to other clubs to say, look, I am available. Come and get me. Mm. And he's having to, that's why he's waited until now. He said it's been going on for a year. He's been quite hush-hush. He's trying to be respectful. But now he's just gone full-blown Raheem Sterling. Get me out of here.
Yeah.
I want to go He's doing a Raheem is what he's doing.
Without AD Ward. So we're proving that Sterling and Berahino are just terrible footballing people generally. Is that what we're saying as a podcast?
They don't need a horrible agent behind them to be horrible people.
Do you think this could hurt West Brom, though? Because I can kind of see...
Sorry to add a bit of balance. Maybe they're not horrible people. Maybe they want to progress their careers, but it's kind of in the way they're doing
horrible people. Sterling especially. Not biased on this show, of course. But with Berahino, the thing that I find bizarre is West Brom have come out and said, he's not going. He's not for sale. If Spurs turn up with 35-40 million, I just don't see West Brom saying no. And although 35 to 40 million sounds mental,
I think that is utterly mental.
It won't take that much. It won't take that much. Though. It'll take 20. No, it'll take 20.
I think if Spurs come in with 20 million, and this is the thing, we were talking about bad sort of transfer dealers. Daniel Levy is at the top of the list for that, and just being just totally stubborn and overly stubborn when it comes to transfers. Eventually they will offer something like that, 20 million, and West Brom will have to say yes. And they'll have to say yes quite soon, because there's not much time left in the window.
To be fair, if you're West Brom, you've just bought in Rondon, you've got Ricky Lambert, you've got who's the guy that used to play for Everton whose name has completely left my brain?
Anachibi. They've also got Brown and Day as well.
A Day, of course. So it's not like they're desperate for strikers and he's the one striker that's going to lead them through. They've got their man. They've got Rondon. You know what I mean? If 20 million will get the job done.
The point I was going to make really was the fact that they've already rejected an £18 million bid for Berahino. And I just think it's going to undermine the club if they now do sell him after kind of publicly saying he requested a transfer, but we've said no because he's not for sale. And
this always happens, though. The club always looks a bit daft because the player gets what they want.
But it's very rare that the club comes out in public and says he's not for sale, kind of thing. Like, you often hear about a player kind of, he submitted a transfer request, he said it might have been rejected. She said, Sky Sports, Sky Sports sources said. But this is literally the club have come out on their website and gone, we've rejected his transfer request.
I could think of like 10 or so moments of this happening in the past, and the player always gets what he wants.
I think that is the eventuality. It's just a matter of time as when it will happen.
He can't stay now. It's impossible for a player like Berahino to stay. He's too young to try and win the West Brom fans back over, because they'll see him as this young money-grabbing footballer now. They won't see him as their favourite, like number 9 or whatever he is. He's tarnished that relationship. He'll definitely he's going to move. I'll say it now. You call Pedro, Berahino will be a Tottenham player by this time next week. Absolutely.
Oh, there we go.
We're getting predictions out now on ForTheFans. The trend has been set.
It'll be my turn next week.
So talking about one striker at West Brom, should we talk about Rondon? Because he did make his debut.
Yeah, we should touch on Chelsea too as well.
He got an overhead kick assist. Now, it was a shot, which he sliced, but a great assist.
I don't think it was a shot. He's not shooting from there, is he?
I think he is.
I think he's trying.
I think a player like that only has eyes for the goal.
To be fair, Jack, me and Keno have played FIFA with you. You think it's a shot. I think it's a cross.
Who goes for the overhead kick, cut back to the edge of the area along the ground? Like, that isn't what he was shot. He might have been just drilling it into the 6-yard box and hoping.
I think that was probably the more.
But I thought it was intentional. I'm giving him the credit. I think he's completely meant it, and I loved it.
It was good.
Should we talk about Chelsea on the other side? And West Brom fans, you've had your moment in the spotlight now for the year, probably.
We've basically said
fans.
Your best player or one of your best players is going to leave. Now let's talk about Chelsea.
Ivanovic.
What about him?
He was awful.
He's always awful.
I don't know if you guys watched this game in full. I kind of had it on in the background. It was watching Ivanovic play. Like, it makes me sad.
I don't. And the thing is, though, you say that I don't. He's been so good, and he was. I mean, maybe Chelsea fans who watch him every week would contest this, but like throughout the last 3 years, he's been so consistent, and probably apart from maybe Terry last season, their best defender. If you look at it, over the last 3 years or so, and I don't understand how it's been so sudden in the drop off in his performance.
I think it comes down to a few things. I think it comes down to the end of last season. Chelsea weren't at their best.
No.
And so there wasn't as big a kind of, I guess, eye on their team. I think Ivanovic getting on a little bit now. He's playing fullback. He's a very old-fashioned fullback in a lot of ways. I know he gets up and down quite a bit, and he did in his day, but he's not kind of your flying wing-back, is he, type? He's the kind of player who's fairly big. Obviously, he played centre-half for a while. He's kind of part of a dying breed in that regard. And I just wonder if he's hit that critical point now where he just hasn't got perhaps the speed and kind of stamina to get up and down the pitch like he had, because both of West Brom's goals came from play down the left-hand side for West Brom.
You could be talking about John Terry with what you just said there, apart from he's a centre-back.
Yeah, the two, you're right, the two, you could say that about both of them. And I think, talking about Chelsea defenders, Kurt Zouma looked pretty good yesterday.
Yeah, but he had to be, really.
He has to be, and because the worry for me with Chelsea and their defence is that I'd like Gary Cahill as a player, and he's really good with with a partner and with John Terry, who can kind of keep him in check a bit, because he does like to wander forward every now and then. But I worry that how in the long term for Chelsea, how he'll perform with someone like Zouma, who's a bit younger and probably needs to be told, where to be kept in check a bit by his partner. And Terry does that really well with Cahill. But whether Cahill is the man to kind of become the leader of the defence for Chelsea in a title challenge, I'm not sure.
Were you guys surprised that Cahill was the centre-back dropped for yesterday's game?
No, not at all.
Because
for that very reason that I just said, Jack, because I don't think that he can command a defence in the same way that John Terry can. So I think
strangely enough, though, do you think John Stones can?
No, again, possibly, but maybe working. It would mean a kind of a difficult maybe 6 months if Mourinho wanted to go with Cahill, Stones, and Zouma as his three centre halves, like principal centre halves. Maybe with Ivanovic sort of rotating in, it could work quite well. It could start. It could take a while, and I'm worried. I don't think that Chelsea and Abramovich and their fans, especially with all the trophies that they want to push for, I don't think they'd be willing to let a partnership like Stones and Zouma mature for as long as it probably needs to get the best results.
No, I'd go with you.
Do you think they've lost that commanding figure at the back, though, in Czech? Obviously, I don't think Czech would play because of how good Courtois is as a raw talent. But if Czech still decided if they didn't have Courtois, I think they have a keeper who can make up for that, perhaps the lack of a commanding centre-back in some ways.
I think if John Terry is at the top of his game, he is the leader of that team, not just the back four, but that team. So obviously he got sent off at the weekend. He's not going to be as pivotal as he has been in previous years. And actually John Terry's sort of dip in form, with what it looks like at least, is very similar to how Steven Gerrard was last year, in that he had a fantastic year. People were saying he was back to his best, and then he had a year where he looked really just like he'd had his time. You know what I mean? And
all that
Gerrard's
can
left now.
take, and all that can take is one bad pre-season, and you might stop for 2 weeks or a week, and then you come back into pre-season. At that age, it's very difficult to recover in the same way that a 25-year-old might.
The comparison's quite similar due to the fact that they both had they had great seasons. They had seasons which almost for both of them, obviously not with Gerrard, but they finished on a high. It was like that was their last go at something really special, and that lull is really difficult to deal with as a professional footballer, because Chelsea had won it and now they've got to try and they're not really fighting for anything now because it's theirs. And I think Terry is the sort of person that likes the battle of getting something back, and it's not there now, and I think that makes his job a lot more difficult.
What did you think of Chelsea going forward in that game?
I was about to say, like, the way we're talking about it sounds like Chelsea have lost again, but they didn't get an away win. They scored 3, and, well, Pedro, man of the match, new man, goal and an assist. I was pleasantly surprised by Chelsea going forward, and I expected them to beat West Brom, but even when they were down to 10 men, they were quite lively. They were hanging on perhaps towards the end, and West Brom had that momentum of the extra man. But, I mean, going forward, they scored some really nice goals.
I think we're about to see a really hot run of form from Eden Hazard because he's about to be pushed to the limit by Pedro. I think Pedro for the first few games might look a little bit average, and I think you're going to see Hazard have to up his game to stay at pace with Pedro. Because I think it's easy to look at Pedro and say, oh, he's a Barcelona bit player. Usually, Barcelona bit players are pretty good, especially in the Barcelona team he's been operating in. I think. Next few weeks, another prediction. I think Eden Hazard is going to have a fantastic run of form.
He better do, because he's captain of my fantasy team, so he better get his act together.
That's what matters for Callum.
In which case, I hope he doesn't have a particularly good run, but I think he might do.
Just to follow that on quickly before we move on, I think that Pedro and Hazard either side of Costa might allow Mourinho to move Fabregas further forward into the 10, and then give the midfield, give Matic a bit more defensive help that a lot of people have recently said he needs, because you have Pedro and Hazard either side. Hazard's recently begun to work quite hard, since Mourinho's got there, and we all know how hard a worker Pedro is, and Costa always hassles, and that could give the kind of mobile front three that he needs to allow Fabregas to sit behind the striker. So Pedro's signing could be one of the most important for a kind of title challenging team this season, because it might allow Chelsea to adapt their shape a bit more to make them more effective, not only in the league against the better teams, but also in the Champions League, to give them that little bit more solidity in the centre.
I mean, personally, I just want to see the return of John Obi Mikel. Well, slot him in next to Matic. We're laughing.
Where's Pogba going to go?
Yeah, well, that's the question.
the thing is, I can totally see it happening.
Could you actually see that happening?
Yeah, because it's such a Chelsea thing to do. It's such a Mourinho thing to do.
Go out on deadline day and blow 50 million on full.
Honestly, it'll happen in.
They did it with Torres in January, so I guess anything's possible.
I could see it. Well, Cuadrado, he's just gone out again, hasn't he, to Juve? On loan. Is he going or is he gone?
I don't know. Chelsea seem to just have such a turnover of players who don't quite make it that it becomes difficult to keep track.
Kino, do you want to put your neck on the line and say Pogba will be a Chelsea player this time?
No, I'm not gonna join this trend.
It's the end of the transfer window. We don't get to do this for much longer.
I agree. It will happen at some point. Maybe this window.
We've got to make loads of predictions. Then at the end of it, we go, we called this, and this, and then we just ignore all the ones we got wrong. Should we talk about? We talked about Chelsea perhaps in that good running form. A team who are in form, City, 3 wins out of 3. They are now the only team with the 100% record, I believe.
Yep.
So, another good win for them as well. 2-0 away at Everton.
They look imperious at the moment. They look like the team to beat. And going into the season, I don't think anyone thought that would be the case. I think a lot of people are just shocked that they're as good as they are, which is strange because as soon as they start playing well, your brain goes, oh yeah, they are quite good. I remember they were really good at one point. And now Everton were made to look a bit silly. Not silly, but a little bit naive by quite a clever City side,
My favourite thing about this game was tuning in. I missed most of this game, but I tuned in towards the end just to see Fabian Delph give the ball away. That was my personal highlight. Like you say, I think in the back of my mind, kind of remembering City that they used to be a little bit shit still makes me kind of go, oh yeah, they are a top team in Europe now. It still takes a little bit of sort of getting used to, but they and it's funny that they always seem to come on so strong every other year, and we always seem to see them become a bit complacent after they win the title, and then the year after they lose it, they seem to get their act together again. And I think we'll see that again. And although Sterling hasn't had like a massive kind of impact in terms of goals, or he's not been making headlines, I think the adjustments that Pellegrini's made to his shape because of Sterling, because he's had to play Sterling, have meant that they've actually looked more effective, and they'll grind out more results like that away from home this season. Yeah,
it gives them an option. We said it last week actually, that it gives them the option on the break, and it frees up Toure, and I think we saw it happen again actually. I just realised that Delph came.
I was about to call you
Silva.
out on this. The 90th minute Delph came on, so
Yeah, but to be fair, he did come on and give the ball away. No, he honestly did come on and give the ball away. It's the first
He came
thing.
on, and I just that was my defining memory of that game.
That's all that mattered. The score, the goals, no, nothing. Delph, you screwed up. I found it interesting that Pellegrini came out after the game and said, Sterling gives us pace. That was his quote. And I'm sat there thinking, well, you got Jesus Navas. He's not slow. I know you've got David Silva still, who you are still playing. Like, I agree Sterling's added a lot, and I think he was just very, very pacey and really did pull the strings. I think he is the kind of player who's capable of perhaps creating space for Silva to operate in. And, well, Silva was probably man of the match.
The scary thing about Sterling is we've not seen the best of him yet in a City shirt. And that'll be when City really start cooking, when he starts playing well. Also, by the way, folks, they've signed Otamendi for 5 years.
They have, yeah. We haven't really, we didn't call that one, did we? That was a...
Well, to be fair, I feel a bit sorry for Mangala, because I think he's probably going to come in and probably replace Mangala, company City captain. I can't see the company being dropped. I don't really know why they've done it for 32 million. I think they probably needed one, but maybe not someone almost as good as Otamendi. Do you know what I mean by that? Someone not quite as good as Otamendi. Someone like Azuma to come through next year.
Yeah, you see it in the way that teams sign goalkeepers and stuff. You don't sign two young, hungry keepers because they'll both be wanting to play all the time. And that's like I agree. I think City could have done with a centre half. Maybe more in the mould of Demichelis, maybe a little bit younger, who could have offered a little bit of cover, wouldn't have been expecting to play every week. And it like you say, it's strange after they splashed out so much on Mangala last summer. I think it says quite a lot about what Pellegrini thinks of Mangala as a player, that 1 year later they're willing to basically sign his replacement for a large sum of money.
Can I just say, since company came into the club for I think it was $6 million, Man City have spent £150 million on centre-backs.
Shall I give you some quotes of what Pellegrini said about Otamendi?
Like, it's mad. Don't you think, though, that you can get a company for $6 million, but to find the partner for him, you spent £150 million?
It was the time. I see what you mean, but it was the time in which they bought company. Company stock wasn't exactly really high.
But then Mangala, Lescott came in for big money.
Lescott did come in for a lot of money.
Like, it's mad.
On Otamendi, Pellegrini said he's strong, he's excellent in the tackle and very technical. He's an established international with one of the best nations in the world football, Argentina. And with no doubt, he has the right mentality to fit into the squad, where I'll find many familiar faces. And this is important. He's played with Mangala before, and he's played with Fernando before at Porto.
So do you think we could be seeing maybe the long-term phasing out of company, considering the rocky year he had last year?
Company's not old, though, is he?
I know that.
Not even 30.
I'm not sure, but
he's 29. He's 30. He's 30 in April.
It's a strange signing.
Have you got the birthday card ready for him? The cake?
Only if he's got one for me next Tuesday. For anyone that's wondering.
Right.
It's a strange
I'll
signing.
Let him know. I'll let him know that you might want a cake.
I'm just getting in as much as possible.
The other transfer they've been rumoured with is De Bruyne, but it seems like he's not going now. I say this. He's come out and said, I don't want to leave Germany, like twice in the last week. But I still think it could happen.
Yeah. Do you want to call it?
I don't want to call it. I don't think it will happen.
Do you know? Do you want to call it?
No, I don't think he'll leave Wolfsburg right now.
Do you not? I think he definitely will.
I think he might end up at like Bayern.
I think he'll go to City. There you are then. There's another one. Well, I'll get, one of these is going to be wrong.
And then we'll ignore all the other ones.
We should talk about the most mental game of the weekend, which is West Ham Bournemouth, which is probably the...
Oh yeah, they're going to be. To what Bournemouth fans, if you're listening, you are going to be outraged that it's taken us this long to get to the fact you've scored 4 away from home against West Ham. Congratulations! I mean, Callum Wilson, he shut quite a few people up in the space of half an hour, didn't he?
He did indeed.
Anyone? Jack, did he shut you up? Were you surprised?
Well, I don't say I questioned Bournemouth strikers. I didn't know how well kind of signing a number of pacey players was going to work. But they went with, I believe, Wilson and Joshua King, who's like the Norway international, up top. And it kind of worked for them. The two pacey players really worked well off each other. Wilson took the chances that came his way as well, which I think they always say, kind of, you're coming up from the Championship, you're not going to have as many chances. You've got to take them. Granted, he did get one from the penalty spot. But the man was clinical, and to get a hat-trick, he's obviously got to be delighted.
Yeah, Max Gradel played as well, who a lot's thought of him. He was very good last year in Ligue 1. So it's going to be... wasn't he at Leeds at one point, Max Gradel?
I think he was.
Which is very strange, isn't it? And West Ham, as we said last week, are just going to be random. And
Like
I hate the word random, but they're
Like
so random.
Exactly like I said to you, with Bilic in charge, there will be days like this. There'll be performances like the Arsenal game, but it will be up and down. It will be the most unpredictable team this season.
Can I give you my Jack stat of the week? That is
hang on,
Darren.
wait, hold on. Are you trying to get your own feature?
Yeah, I think I might be. Can we make it happen? Jingle?
Definitely not. No, just get your facts out.
Darren Randolph conceded 20 goals in his last 4 games against Bournemouth. And he was in goal for West Ham and he's conceded 4. So I don't know about how he conceded 16 in 3.
They'd be better off putting Carroll in goal. Not Noble there. Putting Nolan.
Of course, the reason he was in goal was because, help me out here, Adrian was sent off a Kung Fu kick, which we didn't really talk about last week. It was right at the end of the game. He went up for a corner and kicked someone in the head, which you can't do, unfortunately.
I'd like to think that the West Ham sort of, in the music box where they play all the music pre-game, I'd like to think they could put in some sort of sound effect as he did it. Sort of like, yeah! That would have been good. Can we get that for next week, West Ham?
Probably not. Can you imagine every time a player goes to kick a ball in a football match, karate kicking sounds are played? Sounds like hell. The reason
Lee Cassel would break the speakers the
reason I was going to bring up the red card was because Jenkinson was red carded again. I know to people a bit now, since this game, going, Bilic, he's a bit of a nutter. West Ham under him. Fair play, no chance. They've had 2 sendings off already in the league. But the 2 sendings off they've had have been pretty unlucky, really. Like, it's not been like leg-breaking tackles come in. I mean, Jenkinson's going to feel disappointed. But West Ham, you said they're random. Are you worried for them because of that randomness? Because to ship 4 against Bournemouth, even without your first choice keeper, who Adrian was fantastic for them last year, I don't want to say I'm worried for them, but I am. So I am worried for them.
I think it's partly that Bournemouth are going to play like that in a lot of games, especially away from home. They're going to be open. They're going to fly forward. Obviously, they've kind of won with a penalty, but still, I think we'll see that as a pattern of Bournemouth's play. I think away from home, there will be a lot of high-scoring games because I think they're certainly of the idea that at home, that's their sort of territory. They're going to be good there. They were very good there in the Championship last year. And away from home, they're going to go at teams like West Ham because they're not expecting it. And I think we'll see. I think as much as we think West Ham will upset a few people away from home, I think Bournemouth will as well. I think we'll see a few shock results from Bournemouth. And I hope we do because I don't want to see them come up and just get pounded every week because it's not as fun.
I want to see more hat-tricks from Wilson. I want to see more because he's only the 5th Premier League player in history to score an away hat-trick as a newly promoted team.
Wait, you've had your fact.
Well, I was going to give you... Can you guess? I'll give you... Guess one of the players...
You're turning this into your own quiz here, Jack, in the middle of the show.
Well, okay, I'll just ruin it. Robbie Earnshaw and Kevin Phillips. I've ruined it now. Keno didn't want the quiz. We've had the quiz section.
I don't feel like I've had a quiz. I know I put together one, but I love a quiz.
Next week, I'll do a Ben special feature, which will be a quiz just for you, Ben. How about that? That'll give you a week off.
I feel suitably patronised.
Should we move on to Villa?
Well, Keno,
shall we?
Well, I think we have to. You're the Villa fans. I'm just going to sit back now and relax.
It was the only other game this weekend that had a result. That wasn't a draw. So we may.
So the draws not count as games. Are they fake results?
Essentially, Brad Guzan fucked us in that game. As he tends to do. And the thing is, if I was Tim Sherwood, I'd be kicking myself because you can't legislate for just inexperience and silly errors like that happen. And Guzan, actually, I said inexperienced. Amavi is, okay, fair enough, inexperienced in the Premier League. Guzan's been playing first choice for us now for 2.5 years. I know he had a little period out of the team towards the end of the season last year. But although it was Amavi that gave the ball away, he should not have been getting that ball from Guzan. 1-1 away at Palace, which is a difficult place to go. We equalised through Traore, who looked pretty impressive as he came on. And I think he'll could really be a dangerous player for us, particularly away from home. So strong and so direct. But Guzan should not have been trying to rush and start a counter-attack at that point in the game.
You know what it was, though? He thought he was playing American football, didn't he? Offloading it to the running back, leg it up the pitch, not worked.
3 things, Callum. First, Jack, you're going to have to make the show explicit again this week because Callum's insult for Brad Guzan. Second thing is, if there's a manager in the Premier League that's like to kick himself, it's probably going to be Tim Sherwood. And thirdly, Traore looked really good when he came on.
He did look really good, and I think
Are you pleased with that signing? As an Aston Villa fan, we want your insight.
To be honest with you, I've been pleased with all the signings this year. And I said it in some of the material that you've done before.
Was Joe Cole signed this year, or was that last?
That was last year.
Stop bringing that up.
You don't need to keep
he still
bringing that
there?
up.
Is that still a thing, Joe Cole?
Yeah, that was
Villa?
last year. Last season, I'll just do a quick one. Last season, we brought in Joe Cole, Philip Sendros, and Kieran Richardson in a row. They were our 3 signings.
That's what you want, though.
Look at this year. And the fact was that we managed to bring it back. And I know there was a bit of controversy about the disallowed goal. It was offside. Even from a sort of Villa standpoint, a non-biased observer could have said, it was
offside.
It hit MacArthur on the way. And even after that disallowed goal, we got ourselves back in it, but we should have hung on for the draw. And that might happen a lot this year.
All I'll say is, Kino, this time last year, Villa were 3rd and Paul Lambert was taking you to European glory. It's a shame,
we were top of the league and, unbeaten last year.
Can I just point something out? And I don't know how much you can read into this. Villa only used the 1 sub in the game, and they conceded in the 87th minute. Is there a correlation there?
Well, the sub was an attacking one, which was Traore coming on for Sanchez, and it forced the equaliser. So I didn't really have a problem with that one. He could perhaps have made one after that to hold on for the draw.
Away from home against Palace, if I'm Tim, I want the draw there with 5 minutes left.
Timmy's not the kind of manager that settles.
He's all about his tactics. I feel like. Name's gone from my head. Pardew was taking the mick a little bit in his post-match interview. He's like, Tim's all about the tactics, and we're a bit surprised about how he's set up.
Alan Pardew is the most reactionary post-conference manager in the history of the Premier League.
It's Pards. He'll do that to you. He'll do that.
Yeah. Today he said, we've seen the power of Sacco in training. This guy is coming to score goals. This win is for Yannick Bolasie, who was given compassionate leave following a family bereavement. So again, Pardew proves he's not just happy about the victory, but he's compassionate.
He's got a sensitive
Alan
side.
Pardew, he cares about you all.
He's a man of Palace and he's a man of the people.
Cares.
He cares.
I want to say, shall we move on to the other games? I've just looked at them. 5 draws. So do you want to whiz through these really, really, really quick?
Should we do a point on each and then go to the Twitter questions?
Okay, yeah, right. 1 point on each. Leicester, Tottenham. Ben, go.
Can I not have Leicester Tottenham?
Dele Alli, come on and scored. Young player, had a good season in League One last year.
Spurs need a striker.
Lots of players come up from League One. Powell, and they get signed by United and they're just never given a chance to play. Dele Alli, he's young, he's 18, scores in the Premier League in his 3rd ever appearance. Impressive. Leicester good result.
Yeah.
2nd
in the league. Next game.
Next game, Callum.
Next game was Man United 0, Newcastle 0.
Another team. Rooney have absolutely screwed my fantasy team, and I want some sort of refund because
another team who need a striker. Although Van Gaal said they didn't, which is interesting.
I could actually talk about Newcastle for ages due to the fact that in the first 20 minutes they were awful. McLaren came down, the McLaren effect, which I think we should have as a thing now. I know I've got the Pardew sort of factor.
Why does he start in the stands? Because he's always down within 10 minutes.
Apparently, I thought he had. I heard on the radio that he had problems with the phones, so he had to come down and
is that
give
why?
some orders. Yeah,
it looked like genius because he came down and actually second half Newcastle defended brilliantly, and I've not been able to say that for about 2 years. So
I saw a stat from this game, and it was like Depay gave away the ball 30 odd times in this game, which was the most of any United player so far this season.
Oh, can I? Do you know what? If all the other games were a bit more dull, I'd talk forever about United. They are lacking a star player. They need a star player, and they've been linked with loads of them. They need to bring one in. Depay's not it yet. He might be one day, but not yet. Rooney looks a shadow of his former self, like Terry and whoever else we've been talking about. They need a star player.
Is Muller going to happen then? Because Pedro's not happened. Is the fact that Muller's on the cards the reason they didn't commit?
Neymar is on his way.
So, does anyone want to commit to a Neymar or Muller shout?
I will commit to neither.
I don't want any part of those rumours.
I want nothing to do with that. I don't want Neymar
think they'll
too
sign
close
Messi.
to me anyway.
Right, let's go on to the next game.
You don't want to catch mumps, so don't go too near Neymar.
All right. There was a point made earlier that the most exciting draw this week was Arsenal-Liverpool. I disagree. Norwich-Stoke was a really good game, and Jack Butland was literally the best goalkeeping performance I've seen this season so far, and it won't be talked about that much because it was in Stoke.
We didn't talk about Czech, did we, earlier? I feel like at the end of every show I listened to the back and go, we missed loads of points. Czech had a good game. Good recovery for him.
You need to do your own extra show.
I do. I'll upload that.
Can I be a guest on it?
No, mate. I'm having my own quiz with myself.
So yeah, good point for Norwich. Stoke. Shaqiri obviously played debut. Did okay. Got the assist for the goal. Apart from that, it was quite a quiet game. Stoke held on though, which you don't really expect a Stoke team to do.
I saw the stats at half time. Stoke had 60% of the possession and had one shot, and it was the goal, which was from the set piece. Very bizarre.
Norwich look really good, but they need a striker, and if they don't sign a striker and another winger, they're probably going to go down.
They've been linked with Akpom. That's just not good enough, I'm afraid. In my opinion, I just don't think he's an improvement on what they've got up top.
I think Neymar could go to Norwich because they wear the Brazil colours. I think there's more chance of him going to Norwich than there is Manchester United.
See, it annoys me when people say that because Brazil play in yellow and blue, not yellow and green. Anyway, let's move on to the next game.
I'll tell you what, Jack, the flag of Brazil.
Sunderland and Swansea. Sunderland a point. Defoe scored. I said
you did.
You talked about this,
and I mentioned it to Ben when I saw Defoe scored. I was oh god, Jack's going to be bringing this up. I don't think he'll score
enough to keep them up. But I think he'll get double figures this year. Defoe 2 and 3.
That might keep them up, double figures.
Well, you might have said that about Ings and Austin, but it wasn't enough.
I know, but to be fair, QPR and Burnley.
Sorry, that's the weekly mention of Ings and Austin for this show.
I was going to say you've snuck that in out of nowhere. Charlie Austin still hasn't moved. Danny Ings yet to start for Liverpool. Has he played for Liverpool yet? Has he actually come on?
I think he played against Malaysia 11 or something pre-season.
He got a goal in pre-season as well, did Danny Ings. Stop talking about Danny Ings. Why have you done this? Why have you done this to me?
It's more entertaining than Sunderland, I'm afraid.
Gomes scored again, and we're saying we think he's going to. I think we all agreed last week he's going to have a good year.
Put him in my fantasy football team as captain this week. Thought he'd get more against.
I do. I like Gomes as a player, and I'd like to see him score lots, but I don't want to see any more of that celebration.
I was about to bring that up.
You hate that celebration. The tiger. You hate it.
It's just, but it's not a tiger though, is it? He's kind of. I mean, although he's doing the gesture, he looks really kind of happy and it's weird.
It's uncomfortable, isn't it? It's like your dad on the dance floor.
It's quite uncomfortable to watch.
If he did it in a nightclub, he'd be kicked out. Is that what we're saying?
Well, not in Wolverhampton, but.
Different standards there.
He does that on the way in. So he enters the
That's how you get in.
And also Watford, Southampton. Watford are very quietly just doing okay. They've got a win. No, they haven't. They've drawn all 3 games.
They've drawn 3. It's been a bit bizarre, really, because they're not really doing a lot. They've had is it 2-0-0s? 2-0-0s and a 2-2. I want to say. It's been a bit bizarre, really. I mean, I tell you what annoyed me about this was the fact that Koeman came out after the game and was like, I'm happy with the 0-0 against Watford. I'm thinking, if you're Southampton fans, the signings are perhaps one reason to be cause for concern when it comes to perhaps ambition, although it's, as we discussed with the Berahino, I think it's impossible to keep hold of your players. But if you're managing to come out away from home against a newly promoted side and go, yeah, well, we got a clean sheet and defended well, that for me isn't good enough. I don't think any Southampton fan is happy with that result.
All right, fair enough. And that pretty much, boys, wraps us up for the Premier League chat. Quickly on the old fantasy football, I'm doing better than both of you. That's all I want to say. Really.
I had it was a great week last week, and due to a lot of the kind of slow results this week, I'm below the average for one of the first times.
Some people might have noticed they're just part of For the Fantasy, the fantasy league, because I could just renew it and you're back in it. So if you were in it last year, you're in it again.
If you want to join it a few weeks late,
Brian Kitter, if you're still watching, Gendo FM, top of the table. Good work, good week as well, solid week. I'm in 16th, boys, in that one. So
don't tell me where I am. I don't want to know.
To be honest, you're on the first page, and I'm not going to look for you.
That's perfectly fine. I can go with that.
Keno, questions from Twitter. Fire them at me and Jack.
Yes, questions from Twitter, at ForTheFans show on Twitter. Come in before the cast, send us in questions and we'll answer them on the show. First one, we kind of touched on it a little bit, but not too much. FM Save says, at ForTheFans show, is Poch the right man to lead Spurs into the top 4? And if not, then who is? Can anyone do it?
Charlie Austin, player manager.
I am not. I'm not predicting that. I don't think that will happen before the end of the window.
You say Austin. I'm surprised no one's picked him up yet. But
could he go to Spurs if Berahino doesn't work out?
15 million they're asking for. I think he will end up at a Premier League team probably in a Jim White.
Okay, but
Call it, Jack. Call it who? Where's Austin going?
Where's
Well, that's the
Austin?
Pochettino thing
Newcastle.
in a minute. Brilliant. No chance.
Is Poch the right man?
I don't think their squad's good enough to get into the top 4, so I don't think Poch is, but I don't think they've got the right team to do it anyway. I think they're a 5th, 6th fodder at the moment.
I agree with that. I think Poch could get there with the right side, but I don't think he has the personnel.
You could say it with any manager that went there as well. It's not a...
Is there a manager that could go into Spurs though and bring in the players required? If Klopp went there, do you suddenly think their chances are way better?
I think.
The reason I say
they
Klopp
could.
is because he's available.
I think they could.
Do you think Klopp?
Was Klopp not ended up at Marseille? Did that not happen in the end?
No, that's not happened.
No, it didn't happen. Rumours everywhere, Jack. You can't
Twitter
believe rumours. Kino?
Yeah. Let's have a look. James LFC. I don't know who he supports.
Leeds.
After tonight's performance, do you think Liverpool have any chance of challenging the likes of Chelsea and City? You can answer this before I finish. Challenging Chelsea and City for the title.
I think the question you really want answering, James, is can Chelsea and City do anything to stop Liverpool from becoming the first time Premier League winners in their history?
Or
I think yes.
Are Chelsea and City bad enough to screw up enough to let Liverpool into the title race?
I think if Ivanovic keeps starting games and City are pretty good.
I know. I'm thinking, how are you going to say City are going to screw up here? Because I feel like even if you were to be like Aguero gets injured for 10 months, they probably still win the league. Or at least have a chance.
In all seriousness, 4th place for Liverpool this season would be a good achievement, a very good achievement.
Very, very good. I think 5th is what I'm hoping for.
Right.
At Kieran Sullivan 6 asked on Twitter, did Kino's mom find her keys? Yes, she did.
Good.
Panic over everyone.
Olaf Vrecker on Twitter says, hang on. I'll read this as written. Is Swansea strong enough to finish above Liverpool or Tottenham at 5th or 6th? So,
thank you for the question, Olaf. I'm assuming, based on his name, he's probably not of English descent. So I think
all Twitter questions will be read as written, as typed.
Well, firstly, thank you for your question, Olaf. I appreciate your question.
Oh yeah, thanks.
I don't think Swansea squad is good enough to finish above Liverpool, Tottenham. Although I think they could be relatively close to Spurs. I don't want to just slag off Tottenham. This is a very Tottenham-heavy question section. But I think Swansea are in decent form so far. Tottenham aren't in the best of form, so I can see Swansea having quite a Southampton-like season and just dropping off towards the end.
I've stalked him on Twitter here, and he's from Norway. So thank you for watching. I
think
there's no way Swansea are finishing 5th or 6th. I'm afraid.
Brilliant.
I think they'll finish 8th for a push.
All right, and to finish, we'll do this as a kind of outro section. Let's see. Joe Mooney 3D says, with a week left in the transfer window, who still has the most business to do, and who has the most business to do to get to where they want/need to be? So who needs
good question, Joe.
Who needs to do the most work? What do you think?
United.
Well, I don't think they need to do the most work, but if they bring in a defender,
I think to get to where they want to be, I think they need 2 or 3 signings.
I think Arsenal need a striker and a defensive midfielder. It was very interesting. Monday Night Football tonight, Gary Neville was arguing with Thierry Henry that Arsenal don't have enough in the middle, and Thierry Henry was saying that Cazorla and Coquelin are fine in there, and I disagree with Thierry Henry, and it made Thierry Henry seem a little bit naive, really, because I think they do need something there. So I think if Arsenal make those 2 signings, you could see a late title push.
They look a little bit susceptible to having the space dominated against them, in the words of Brendan Rodgers, don't they?
I think there are a few teams as well, just quickly, I think there's a few teams as well that if they don't buy key players will be going down this early on in the season. I think Norwich are one of those teams. Despite looking quite good, they can't keep going through on willpower and togetherness. They need some good players. Sunderland
are a team that are heavily tipped to go down. Avocat's basically come out and said he needs money to spend, and he didn't even hide it. In his post-match interview, he's like, we need 30 million. Who's he going to sign for 30 million? Where does he think the money's coming from? That's my personal question to you guys. I think that was the number dropped. I almost want to find it now. But he basically very heavily implied he needs a shitload of money.
Yeah, but what he's saying is we're in massive trouble. Please let me buy some players.
Yeah, I don't think that.
Bunch of idiots.
He's not looking for anyone specific with that 30 million. It's just more of a plea. I think United actually. could do with the most. Because it's funny that although or not so much the most work to do, I think they're most in need of a single transfer, which is that if they sign a top quality striker, they could have the chance at winning.
If they sign Neymar or Muller,
it won't be them, but
Charlie Austin, Jack. He's available.
can I just say Charlie Austin is going to end up in the Premier League before the end of.
You've already said that.
I think
Newcastle. If he's not going to be there, Jack, what are you going to do? I feel like
Championship podcast special every Wednesday with Rotherham.
Will you sign him? Do you want to start a Kickstarter?
We'll do that. We'll get our own club going for the Fans FC.
Well, yeah, or we could, offer to fund a loan move out of the transfer window.
We could do like a Twitter appeal. It'd be like a Rescue Dogs, but all about Charlie Austin.
Free Charlie.
I think we should start buying footballers like in the same way that Mascherano and Tevez were owned and then bought. I think we should start a company which buys footballers.
We should save up as a For the Fans group to become, a part owner in Charlie Austin.
I think we should start with Aaron Lescott and Paul Terry and build our way up from there. And that's where we're going to start.
We'll become the new super agents of.
And on that bombshell. I think that's going to bring us to the end.
We're coming for you, English football. We're coming.
If you're watching on iTunes or listening on iTunes, please leave a like. If you're on iTunes, thank you for listening. Thank you for downloading. Tell your friends that we're a thing. And from Callum, Jack, and me,
and Charlie,
Austin, who's going to be here next week to discuss his transfer. Can you imagine if we didn't do the show? The jingle is just Charlie Austin just saying, "Welcome to ForTheFans this week. It's me, Charlie Austin." I don't know how he talks.
Can we make this a thing? If anyone knows Charlie Austin, send him our way.
I would love to get Charlie Austin on the podcast.
We could,
Charlie Austin.
We could go and get Adam Lafondra. He's got friend of the community.
They must know each other somehow, right?
They're both English, both Championship players.
Are we? Is this bit going in the show?
Yes, it has.
Brilliant. Okay.
I will just say, Ben, do go and rate the podcast on iTunes. That is possibly the most important thing you can do, really, to support us on iTunes. Just go and rate it.
If you're still listening at this point, you might as well rate the show.
You've wasted 5 minutes of your life. Go and waste another 2.
Yeah.
Right. It's not wasting.
Not wasting. No.
From me, Keno, let me finish this bloody podcast.
From me, Keno. Oh, sorry. I thought you were saying me, as in my name's Keno. Continue.
From me, Charlie, Jack and Keno, we'll see you again next week. We love with care. Goodbye. Bloody hell. Bloody hell.
Keno, I think you're going to have to be calling for an oxygen mask over here, my friend.